Hey team, we're back, and this time I want to revisit our array filtering challenge. I recently learned about something a little extra that I wanted to share with y'all. So if you remember from last time, the array filtering challenge had some code that when we ran it, it would output an array of, it was basically this array, but it would remove all the duplicates, so things like I think mozzarella is duplicated in there, ham further down the way. And then we would remove these no good toppings because whatever you think of pineapple, there it is. So we went through the process of discovering a bunch of different ways, reducing down to a filter, and then learning some stuff about using set, right? We took it all the way where we were only using set. So some really cool stuff. In order to cover off today, not there, let's add some space in the right spot. We're going to start by adding a comment. So I'm just going to copy and paste one in here like this so that we know where we started and where we ended. And today I want to talk a little bit about includes. Okay, with includes, we actually have that up here, this one, where we're using the filter and the index. So I'm going to copy this back down. Comment this one out, just like this, and paste it, uncomment it. Should work exactly the same if we run this. We get 15 items, which is exactly what we had, okay? We know this works because this was in the previous video, so that part is all good. But down in here we have includes. And includes, the way that we usually use includes is we get a key, some sort of a string, and we check to see if that's in our list, and if it is, then we can ignore it or not. It returns a Boolean about whether that thing is actually in there, true or false, okay? So I want to update this a little bit. So instead of this index of, I also want to use includes here, okay? And now there's a second part, and this is the new part to me. This is the part that I've either forgotten or relearned. I don't know what, but here it is for you today. There's a second argument to includes, which tells the array where to start searching. So it defaults to 0, which is the very front of the array. And you can type any sort of index in here, which starts it on its journey. It can also be negative, so if you want to start from the other side, you can absolutely do that. But for us, because we already have index, we can just go index plus 1. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to say wherever this item is, the item and the index are the same, right? So wherever the item is, let's go one more and start searching from there. Okay, obviously index plus 1 is never going to equal index because that was searching for something else. We're just looking for this. And if we run this, what we get is the duplicates, okay? Because does it include it more than once? It absolutely does. So we include it, right? That's what we've done. Now, we don't really want that. We want the opposite. So let's flip it around using that marker. We are going to run it again, and we get 15 items, okay? So it works exactly the same. And this is very interesting because now we are shortcutting the system. We aren't going through everything. We're only going through everything after the current index. So hopefully it's a little bit more performant. The other thing that we can do is we can actually get rid of this part and kind of join it together. So this gets really interesting for me. Right here we can go array.concat and we go filter list just like this. Get rid of everything afterwards. We can just knock that away. And if we run this again, we should get 15 items. Because what we're doing now is we are creating an array that contains both the array and the filter list. And the cool thing here is that we're never going to iterate on the filter list. So we can absolutely tack that onto the end because we're only going to iterate on the list. The list gets passed in as the array. And so we can only ever loop on whatever was in the original array. When this started, we only iterate on the original array, not anything that we add to it, okay? So really fun times here where now we're down to a single line, which is awesome. We can, of course, change this up a little bit. So we can make a new copy, go down here. Instead of concat, right, we might do something like make this right here, put it all in the array blocks and spread it out just like this. And if we run this, we should get the exact same thing, 15, okay? I'm gonna clear it just so that we can see it a little bit better, right there. And 15 is the magic number, okay? This is exactly the same as that. So we are adding filter list to the end of array, which is being passed in right here. My problem with this right now is that we are generating this array every single time. And in theory, the array and the filter list never change. So maybe we do a little bit of optimization. We just bring that down. We go const full list as an example. Paste it in. It will no longer be array because that doesn't exist. We need list. And then we grab all of this and paste it down here, just like this. Should be the same thing, but hopefully just a pinch faster, because now we only generate that list once before we start looping through. And because array doesn't change and filter list doesn't change, I think this is a pretty safe example, okay? Again, because we're only looping on array, on the list, sorry, right? Anything we add to the list after the fact doesn't get looped through, which means that we're checking for that. And in fact, what's happening here, a little side note, is that we're only picking up on the second items or the last found item. So I mentioned before, way up here, that we have pepperoni mushroom mozzarella ham, and then sausage, okay? And if you look at the array, it's pepperoni mushroom sausage and then mozzarella, because the last mozzarella comes after sausage. And ham, being way down here near the end, is all the way over near the end, right? We have a couple things that we don't want, like pineapple, but ham is at the end, so we're picking up on the last item. If you needed it to only pick up on the first items, you could probably play with this a little bit and get that working. But I mean, this works, right? Maybe you can use some negative numbers in there or something to make that happen. Very cool stuff, I think. And reducing it down. In fact, we could take it a step further. Copy, comment, paste, just like this. And instead of this return, we just knock the return out of here. Get rid of these curly brackets like this, so that it's technically on one line, just like this. But for convenience, we can wrap it. And the exact same thing. So when we run this, we get 15 items. Now, it wouldn't be a fun video if I didn't take it just that little extra step further. So I learned about include. I also learned about something in set that isn't available in all browsers yet. It's still behind a flag in Firefox, but once Firefox releases it, we will have that much more fun, okay? So for this one, I'm going to go back above my comment, and I'm going to grab this last one that we did where we were using set, okay? So right down here, I'm going to get rid of this one, comment it out, paste in that old one, uncomment it. We should get the exact same thing. It should be 15 in here, and it is, okay? So this is where we left off at the very end of the last video. And I want to extend this a little bit, okay? The way that I want to extend this is I want to continue to use set, but I don't want to use this loop, okay? We have this loop in here, and then we're deleting items. It works, but we don't really need it, okay? Instead, what we can do is we can go const new filter list equals new set. So we're going to make a new set from both of these. We get that filter list, we put it in there. Technically, it's empty. It doesn't matter. We can do that. And then instead of this line here, we can return something else, okay? In fact, what we return is while finding my notes, there it is we return the new set with everything in the filter list lopped off. And we use something called difference, okay? So we're going to get that new set, which is a set. We go difference like this. And inside of here, we put new filter list, just like this. And if I've done this, hopefully this works first time out, we get 15 items. So I've removed the loop that was in here and just let set do its own magic. There are a bunch like this. There's difference, there is union, and a few others, right? So you can start to do some, what would it be, like aggregation and stuff like that. Kind of similar to if you were using SQL, right? Lots of different joins, right? And of course we can take this further by just copy and pasting this really fast so that we have it. Moving it down, paste it, clear this, and now we take this bit here, drop it right in, just like this, so that we have it. And we take this bit here, copy it right into here, get rid of all of these lines, and now we should get the exact same thing. 15 items, right? And we're just letting the language do the work, which is really cool. So a couple new things today. Running that same thing, we expanded on our includes, and I covered off how we can tell JavaScript where to start searching from, right? It can be positive, it can be negative, depending on if you want to go from the left side or the right side of the array, right? The front or the back. So we can use that magic. We reduced it a little bit by concatenating the two lists together in different ways. So we use the concat up here, and then we use spread up here. They both work perfectly fine. And then, of course, we dove into making a one-liner, dove into a little bit more of set. So we had a for each loop way up here somewhere. But now we are using the set methods to work that magic for us, and reducing it down to a single line. Feels a little too clever, right, for a code challenge, but really interesting stuff where we have these two things. This includes with the second argument, and things like difference and union on the set, right? Lots of cool stuff. And that's it for today. Nice and short, nice and brief. Have you used these before? Please drop a comment, let me know. If they're new to you, also drop a comment or anything you want in there. Always interested to keep the conversation going. Until next time, have a good one.